Hello and welcome to today's lesson where we're looking at how to overcome negative beliefs. We all have beliefs, a trust, a faith, or a confidence that something is true. Our individual beliefs play an enormous role in how we see and interpret the world around us and our place within it. The beliefs we hold give us a scorecard against which we can measure everything in our lives. Before we can start to overcome negative beliefs, we need to understand how we got those beliefs in the first place. Beliefs can come about in two ways. Firstly, they can be formed logically as a result of making deductions from observations. Secondly, they can be formed when we experience powerful emotions that seem supported by logic. For example, perhaps we failed a math exam as a young child and shortly afterwards one of our parents told us that we were no good at math. So from this beginning, beliefs are ingrained into our brains due to repeated exposure to situations which prove their correctness. Now, once established within our brain, beliefs are accepted as fact and rarely, if ever, questioned again. So once your beliefs are in place, everything you think and feel will be adjusted to agree with your beliefs. Our entire reality as we experience it is a creation of our belief system. Now, this can explain why two seemingly identical people can experience the world so differently, where one person may be happy to have already achieved so much in their career. Another person in exactly the same position might resent having achieved so little in their career, and that's because they both had such different expectations to begin with. Now, in addition to helping us make sense of the world, beliefs also give us a framework to understand what it is possible for us to achieve. So Henry Ford put it really well when he said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So because beliefs are the very core of who you are, beliefs influence every aspect of your life. Now, beliefs influence whether you make a good decision or a bad decision, whether you choose to eat well, whether you jump at the chance of giving a presentation or you run away from it. Beliefs even determine how you feel about yourself and the labels you give to yourself. So, in a nutshell, your beliefs will play a large role in whether you are successful or unsuccessful, happy or unhappy, and satisfied or dissatisfied with your overall life experience. Now, obviously, in terms of your career, whether you're successful or not, beliefs play a part, but obviously more broadly, they play a huge part in your whole life and how successful that is as well. Now, the problem is that some of our beliefs don't serve us. Perhaps they were formed many years ago during childhood, such as the failed math exam example I've just given you. Now, they may have helped us during childhood, but they're no longer relevant to us today, and they're holding us back. These types of beliefs are called negative beliefs, and they constrain and they impoverish our lives. So to help you identify your limiting beliefs, you can ask yourself the following types of questions. What are you not good at? What is your least favorite work activity? What aspect of yourself do you try to hide from others when meeting new people? What area of your life is holding you back? And why haven't you done something about that area already? And write these things down. Another way you can identify limiting beliefs is by listening to the internal monologue that's going on in your own head. So you're looking for those little phrases and those little sentences you say to yourself mentally throughout the day, as you go about your day and you encounter different situations. Now, most people aren't even aware that they're talking to themselves as they go about their day. It's really fascinating to listen in on what we're saying to ourselves. So why not give it a try for the rest of, maybe just the rest of the day. Now, in particular, look out for sentences going on in your head that start with phrases like, I don't. For example, you might be saying, I don't do sports, or I don't deserve to be successful, or phrases that start with, I can't. So, for example, I can't do math, going back to our early example, or maybe it's I can't sing. Or even phrases that sound a little bit more positive, such as I am. So, for example, I am intelligent. Now, that sounds really positive, but it could leave you to conclude that I'm not very good at practical things. So you can see even something positive might have a negative edge to it. Now, other negative beliefs that begin with I am might be I am rubbish at job interviews, or I am not successful, or even I am stupid. Now, there's many more ways in which limiting beliefs make themselves visible within our internal monologue too. So keep your mind open to catching these thoughts as they happen, and soon you'll become really adept at quickly at least recognizing the thoughts are happening and what they are, as soon as they occur. So now that we understand what negative beliefs are, and we understand how they can hold us back, and we also know how to identify them, let's look at a really simple 4-step process to overcome negative beliefs. So step 1, isolate one belief. The first step in the process is to isolate a single belief that you want to alter. So pick a belief that is limiting your growth and your happiness. Now, maybe you don't think you're smart, maybe you don't think you're good enough, perhaps you don't think you can give a presentation. Just pick one of them and write it down. Now, the second step is to understand the benefit of this belief. So in this step, you want to understand exactly how you are benefiting by holding on to the belief. So ask yourself, what is the benefit to me of this belief? What price have I already paid by believing this? What price am I going to pay in the future if I continue to believe this? Now, write down all the answers you can think of, and if there's no benefit to the belief and you want to replace it with a more empowering belief, then move on to the next step, which is undermine the belief. So here you're looking for examples from your life where the belief wasn't true. So perhaps you once did well in a math exam, or perhaps you once gave a presentation that wasn't absolutely terrible. So here we're looking for evidence to help us believe that the belief isn't always true. So we have it in our heads that the belief is true, and step 3 is all about just trying to find tiny bits of evidence that show us that the belief may not be absolutely true. So collect as much evidence as you can and then move on to step 4, build a new belief. So now that we're beginning to see that the old belief might not hold true in all circumstances, what we've done is we've created the space to allow us to create a new, more empowering belief. But deciding to create a belief, for example, something like I'm great at presentations, isn't quite enough. We need genuine evidence so our brain actually believes it and we start to build that new belief. So here, think of ways you can start to accumulate evidence to reinforce your new belief. Now, if you don't like public speaking, maybe you could start by giving a speech to your spouse or partner, or perhaps join a local Toastmasters club where you can practice in a safe environment. If, on the other hand, you don't like numbers, maybe you could take a course or spend 10 minutes learning some new math every day. Now, if you begin by benchmarking where you are, then very soon you're going to start to see a little bit of real progress. Now, the key is to regularly and repeatedly reinforce your new belief. So by slowly building the strength of your new belief, your results will begin to change for the better. Now, being attentive and identifying those improved results is going to further help you, because it's going to further help reinforce your belief, and that's going to create even better results. Essentially, what you're doing is you're creating a virtuous cycle of improved results and strengthened belief. So in our example of disliking presentations, once we have a few presentations under our belt, we might stop being absolutely terrified and start thinking about our performance, how we use body language, how to effectively use pauses, etc. And at this point, our confidence has moved away from rock bottom, and as our skill further improves, we may actually start to like doing presentations. Eventually, we might just form the belief that we love doing presentations because we're great at them. So in summary, a key takeaway from this topic of removing negative beliefs is to remember that by upgrading your beliefs, you're going to increase both your skills and your resilience. And increased resilience is going to make you a better leader, a better manager, a better team member, because you're less likely to suffer from stress and more likely to bounce back from the inevitable setbacks and disappointments that occur on the road to achieving your goals. Now, this video serves as a very basic introduction to overcoming negative beliefs, and I hope you found it useful. If you feel this is an area that is holding you back, then there are many books dedicated to the subject. Now, two of the books I really recommend are The New Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. That's a pretty old book, but it is really useful. And another book called Mind Over Mood by Dennis Greenberger and Christine Padetsky. That's a newer book and much more practical in nature with lots of worksheets. So that's it from me. I hope you found this really useful, and I look forward to speaking to you again very soon.